Hello there and welcome back to another review. So you knew it was coming, it was going to come eventually. So today we're going to be having a look at the second Mortal Kombat movie released back in 1997 and directed by John Leonetti, who I believe was I think he was like the cinematographer on the first movie, or he had something to do with it in some way, but he was definitely involved with the first movie. Now, we all know about Mortal Kombat Annihilation. We know it was panned. We know it didn't do well. Paul W.S. Anderson, of course, didn't return to direct. Christopher Lambert didn't return, and only Shou and Talisa Soto returned here. I think what they were trying to do, the filmmakers, with this is just give the fans and the kids more of everything. Just go balls to the wall, just chuck everything in there. Let's have more fights, more characters, more special effects. And unfortunately, it's the latter of which, above all else, which really lets the film down. The special effects in this are bad. They are really bad. So the question is the movie really that bad? Is it as bad as some people would have you believe? Does it have some good points? Are there some redeeming pros and things worth mentioning to this movie? Well, actually, yes, there is. And in my humble opinion, being totally honest with you, I don't think it's any worse than the Mortal Kombat 2021 movie reboot. I think that film, for better or for worse, I think, like I mentioned in my review of it, for everything it does right, it does things wrong. And where you could have the flip side of that sentiment here, for everything it does wrong, it actually does quite a few things right. But to me, Mortal Kombat Annihilation is no worse than the remake. Yes, the film is all over the place, but it does get a lot of things right for everything it gets wrong. As you would expect, the soundtrack is awesome and fits into that Mortal Kombat mold perfectly. I mean, unlike the reboot, can you even remember a song from the Mortal Kombat reboot? I can't. It was just generic, standard studio rubbish, orchestral music in the background. I cannot remember one memorable song or piece of cool music from that movie at all. I know they were going for a different vibe with it completely, but this is Mortal Kombat. This is the whole thing. I mean, with this movie, they definitely nail the soundtrack right on home. We get great fights here and some great choreography. Shou is and will always be, to me, the perfect Liu Kang. James Remar is more than capable replacement for the role of Raiden, who I always remember being in films. He was in The Warriors. He was in The Quest with Van Damme. Other James Remar movies. He was also in The Phantom with Billy Zane. He's one of these people that crops up and you think, oh yeah, James Remar was in that. Oh yeah, he was another guy, he was in that as well. But yeah, he's been in quite a lot of films, but I think he does well here. Sandra Hess as well, I think is great as Sonya. You get so many Mortal Kombat characters here. Okay, some are just thrown in for one scenes and fights, but I really do think they're just trying to give the fans more and more of everything. And like I say, that's exactly what the reboot done. It just throws characters in, then they're gone. And that's just, but people bash Mortal Kombat Annihilation for doing that, for being a film where our characters there, then they disappear. Sub-Zero and Scorpion are in this movie, then they just disappear. And it's the same with the reboot. I know, but you have Kung Lao there, then he's gone. Then it's Goro's there, now he's gone. I mean, Goro in the reboot compared to Goro in the original movie, I still to this day think Goro in the 1995 Paul W.S. Anderson original movie is so much better than the piece of CGI crap we got in the reboot. I mean, and also not only that, the Goro in the reboot doesn't even talk. He doesn't say anything. But anyway, enough about that. We'll go back to Annihilation because can go on a massive rant about the reboot. But again, I think they were just trying to give the fans more of everything. Now, when I watched this film at the time, I thought it was downright silly in that it didn't have the atmosphere and the pacing that the first film did. But what it did have was balls to the walls fights, which at the time, you have to remember, this was pre-Matrix, this was pre-everything like that. I thought it were amazing. We get Liu Kang versus Smoke, we get Sub-Zero versus Scorpion, we get Raiden versus loads of reptiles, we get Sonya and Jax versus Cyrax. I mean, the list goes on. Yes, it's silly. No, it's not very well made. The plot is all over the place, but despite all of that, I still don't think the reboot is much better. I really honestly don't. I think this was one of them movies that they thought, forget just your average moviegoer, let's try and give the fans everything that they want. And though that, they do both succeed, I think they sort of both succeed and fail at the same time. The filmmakers should be given at least some credit for what they were trying to do. Martial arts trivia here. Keith Cook, who played Reptile in the first movie, played Sub-Zero in this one. I did read somewhere, did I read somewhere that Tony Jaa actually doubled sort of Robin Shou's character in this movie? Or Tony Jaa was involved with some of the doubling in some respects, but I think it was pretty much he'd done the doubling from Robin Shou. I know Ed Boon and John Tobias think this is sort of the worst thing that ever happened to Mortal Kombat. I know they're not fans of the movie at all. They think it's the worst thing that ever happened in Mortal Kombat history. Maybe Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero. But no, I think by and large Mortal Kombat Annihilation is regarded to be pretty damn bad. But because of its bad reception, a third film was scrapped for many years, and as we know, I think many have said the film wasn't even finished. I think some of the filmmakers have even said the effects were not even fully done at the time, when it was released. But the studio was just let's get it out anyway, which reminds me, when you think of video games nowadays, sort of Cyberpunk and games like that, let's release them in a half-finished state. As long as the company makes the big money, that's all that really matters. But no, I don't think Annihilation deserves half the flack that it gets. I really don't. I think it's a movie that, even, like I say, this was 1997. And when you look at that, and like I say, you look at the reboot, I know I go on about it, but I do think everything that reboot sort of does well, with the cinematography and the the depth they give the Scorpion and Sub-Zero with the Lin Kuei and the backstory and things like that, I do think at the same time it still messes up a lot of things as well at the same time. So back to Annihilation, the film starts with that Mortal Kombat theme that we all know and love from the Immortals. To be fair, what I do like with this movie, like I like with any movie, any sequel, is when they pick up exactly where the previous movie left off, and that's exactly what Annihilation does. We see it's a different Sonya, and we see it's a different Johnny Cage, and what I love is Rain, Motaro, Ermac and Shiva are all there at the temple, right away, bam, we're not messing about here. There's your characters, right? There's Ermac, there's Motaro, there's Rain, there's Shiva, right? We're off. They're not messing about. And one thing that makes the film bad is the outfits. They don't look gritty enough. I think that's a bit of a problem with the movie. They sort of look like a Power Rangers cosplay or something like that. So Shao Kahn turns up, played by Brian Thompson. Despite all his efforts, Brian Thompson, he's just not that threatening, and he's definitely no Shang Tsung. I mean, where Kerry Tagawa just really nailed it out the park and just nailed it on home with the first movie. And to me, like with Robin Shou as Liu Kang, Kerry Tagawa is Shang Tsung to me. He is the embodiment of Shang Tsung. So Brian Thompson had sort of big shoes to fill here with the villain role. I mean, this is meant to be the Emperor of Outworld, but unfortunately, Brian Thompson, despite all his efforts, he's just not threatening enough. As I say, I think James Remar as Raiden is a great choice, and I don't mind Sandra Hess as Sonya either. As I say, whatever, people get recast all the time, so who cares? So Raiden actually beats Shao Kahn quite easy. Johnny Cage gets killed, played by, I want to say Chris Conrad is his name. I could be totally mistaken there, but I'm pretty sure that's the guy who plays Johnny Cage in this movie. I mean, imagine getting that, if you was this guy's agent. It's right, we've got you one line in the new Mortal Kombat. We've got you a part in the new Mortal Kombat movie. Awesome. Right, brilliant. When do I start? Well, just one snag. You got one line and then you get killed. And it's okay, yeah, I'll take it. So, and the film is definitely, I think, with the whole story, what they're going for here, I think they're definitely channeling Mortal Kombat 3. I think that's definitely what they're going for. And that's all I've ever wanted them to do. I know all I've ever wanted is to have Mortal Kombat 1 to 3 in a movie form. Everybody knows Mortal Kombat 1 to 3. I think even people, by and large, even if you didn't play them that much, know the story of Mortal Kombat 1 to 3. But here, what I've always wanted is just to film with them first 3 games. Just take them games and put them in a movie format. To give me a Mortal Kombat movie trilogy of the first 3 games. And unfortunately, the first film sort of did that, and then it just went off. The reboot definitely, and I think with the reboot, I'm hoping what I read is they're doing a before, if they do 3, they're going to do sort of before the tournament, during the tournament, and after the tournament, which is quite a cool idea. So that's sort of what I would like to see happen, sort of as it was in Mortal Kombat, sort of 1 to 3, where it's sort of 3, sort of all bets are off. And I think this, like I say, going back to Annihilation, I think this is what this film is trying to channel. It's definitely, I think, going for Mortal Kombat 3. So Khan is like, in 6 days, the Earth will be destroyed. God knows what has happened to the rest of the monks at the temple at this point, by the way. Khan wants to merge the two worlds of Earth Realm and Outworld or something like that. And Raiden says he has used, like, Sindel to keep the portals open. And if her and Katana get reunited, then the spell will be broken. Okay, whatever. So Katana, if she talks to Sindel, they get reunited. If they're together, the portals will close and the merge will stop. You know, whatever. It doesn't really matter. So then they found like these giant hamster balls to travel around in. Lou is told to go find Nightwolf and Sonya is told to go find Jax. And why can't Raiden just teleport them where they need to go? I have no idea. Raiden's like dad, Shinnok, has kept the portals open. Elements of sort of Mortal Kombat 4 there with the Shinnok character, which is cool. So why 6 days? And is it ever explained why they have to win 10 tournaments? Like, I suppose that was just written by the Elder Gods or something. But anyway, it's always 10 tournaments, isn't it? God knows. So Katana and Liu get ambushed by Smoke. And I tell you, when that music kicks in and the fight begins, it's bam. It's like, you know, Liu sort of pivots off the wall and like tackles one of the henchmen, and then the music kicks in and you're off, and it's still so awesome even to this day. Katana gets her fans out, though she doesn't actually do anything with them. Bit of a waste, really. It's a bit of a tease. Liu at one point does a very dodgy backflip to avoid a missile, and believe you and me though, I still say this film has better fights than the reboot. I think this film has much better fights than what the reboot does. I mean, I even love little things like the way the music stops then starts again. There's a moment where sort of Liu Kang's on the floor. He sort of looks up and he's got like Smoke standing over him, and like Smoke just starts kicking the crap out of Liu Kang, and then the music kicks in again, and it's just so awesome. I think little things like that really do make the movie for me. Then Sub-Zero appears, freezes Smoke, and tells Liu that he killed his older brother in the previous movie. So as I say, they do involve some of the Mortal Kombat 3 lore here. Scorpion turns up for no reason other than to have an awesome fight with Sub-Zero, which is what the fans want to see, right? You want to see Sub-Zero and Scorpion go at it. And I love how they have them fighting to Lunatic Calm, Leave You Far Behind, which is the song I always remember that I had on the Matrix soundtrack. Liu and Katana don't help at all. They're just watching at the sidelines. But it's a cool fight, and you have to love how Scorpion shouts "suckers" as well as he takes Katana, which still makes me laugh even now. Now, after this, you never see Sub-Zero or Scorpion again. They just disappeared. They're on. You've had your Scorpion. You've had your Sub-Zero. Well, sorry, kids. They're off now, right? They're gone for the rest of the movie. That is them done. And the reboot has this too, like I mentioned, with characters disappearing and then going. Obviously not with Sub-Zero and Scorpion, but there's still traces of that. And I think the biggest travesty with the remake was Goro. Like, they just made him into this CGI grunting mess, and it's like, oh. So we don't see much of the Earth being destroyed, even though that it's meant to be happening. Sonya goes to like this research facility, and Jax is the only one there laying on a table. Like, where is everyone? Why are there no other patients? Jax, for whatever reason, is the only one there. Cyrax shows up in Cyrax gets one hell of a cool entrance. With the slow-mo walk, with the fire behind him, and he gets one hell of an epic intro. For some reason, like, there's a free tap kick that Cyrax does, and it is blink and you miss it. He sort of stands on one leg and he's sort of kicking Jax, but he does like these three quick kicks in succession, which I think pretty awesome. It's blink and you miss it, but I like it. And the thing is, watching it again, it's still, I think, a very entertaining movie. It's downright stupid and ridiculous, but it's never boring. Like, this film is never, ever, ever boring. Cyrax, as I say, comes across so cool in this movie. They beat him, he sort of blows up, and like this dragon marking leaves him. Bit like what they sort of took for the reboot. They sort of took the idea of that. I know it's used a bit differently here, but they still use the whole idea of a tattoo or a marking, which is very much what they, as I say, the idea they stole for the reboot. And suddenly Sonya and Jax are outside doing like a slow-mo dive. They do mention Cabal and Stryker, and I'm still waiting to see Curtis Stryker in a live-action form. I have a bit of a soft spot for Stryker, largely due to Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, where he was voiced by Ron Perlman as sort of the comic relief in place of sort of Johnny Cage, and ever since then I've sort of had a soft spot for the Stryker character. I know in terms of video game standards, not a lot of people, I think Curtis Stryker was, he's maybe one of the worst characters from Mortal Kombat 3, right? I think that's pretty much what everybody thinks. He was one of the worst, but ever since sort of Ron Perlman in the Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm cartoon, I've always wanted to see Stryker in live action form. So Khan uses his hammer on Rain to send him into this fire pit and appoints Sindel as his new general. Liu meets Nightwolf, who is like, don't get cocky, you've got to learn your animality yet. And like he knocks Liu out, and he's like Liu's all guilty about losing Katana. He wakes up in the snow to a scantily clothed Jade, and he is all, well, this is too good to be true. It's like, right, okay. She tells him it is another test, and she knows where Katana is. And Katana in this film, unfortunately, she's sort of wasted because she pretty much becomes the damsel in distress, whereas in the first movie she was a very strong, important character who could sort of more than handle herself. In this movie she just becomes sort of damsel in distress, just trapped in the tower. We learn that Khan destroyed her family and drove her mum to suicide. For some reason Sonya doesn't ever once fill Jax in on what's going on. Just use your imagination. She says to him at one point, it's like, bearing in mind what is at stake and everything that's going on, it might not have killed you, Sonya, if you just sat down with Jax just for 5 minutes to just give him the rough, brief version sort of what's going on. You know, very helpful. Suddenly Melina comes out of nowhere with Pitch Shifter playing, and this is just an excuse for two hot ladies to have a fight in the mud bath, you know, so, you know, why not? Not going to object to that. Melina's marking disappears too, and this giant CGI piece of crap appears, which Jax appears to be punching in the arse at one point. And I like how Raiden goes to the Elder Gods temple, and it is nice that the film does acknowledge the Elder Gods. We do get to sort of get an idea of the Elder Gods, and I wish, like, I like movies where they go more into the mythos behind something, or sort of the bit of the backstory. Obviously this just glanced over, but it is nice they did involve the Elder Gods, though they are just depicted as smoke and like sort of fire in doorways. They basically say Katana is the key, Khan must be defeated, and by the way, Raiden, you will sacrifice your immortality, they say to him. So Liu and Jade meet up with Jax and Sonya, and Sonya's like, oh, so you lose Katana and team up with her? And it's like, you know, just trying to save the world here, Sonya, just doing whatever I can. We then get Raiden with his swanky new haircut. Sindel screams and makes the temple explode. Raiden opens a portal to Outworld. See, half the time you actually forget this is meant to be Earth, where they are. You're like, I remember watching it the first time. I was like, where exactly are we meant to be? And it is meant to be Earth, where they are. But anyway, they end up. Raiden opens a portal to Outworld. They make their way to Khan's castle, and Raiden has to take on 3 reptiles. And I'm pretty sure during this reptile fight, reptiles, I'm pretty sure one of them, I'm pretty sure Raiden is doubled by Ray Park of Darth Maul fame. I'm pretty sure it is Ray Park, who done a lot of the stunt work here too. And it's amazing when you think you've got Ray Park involved, there's Keith Cook involved, there's Tony Jaa involved. There's, you know, it's quite an awesome groups of people here. Whether Tony Jaa did double for Liu Kang, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he was Liu Kang's double. So, and it's quite cool that Raiden gets a fight scene too. It's nice they did inject that. So the realms are merging. Suddenly we see Sindel knocked out, apparently by Jade, even though just a second ago she was at the Elder Gods temple. Liu finds Katana in this cage and has to take on Baraka and his buddies. And he's doing like a full-blown Errol Flynn, like Robin Hood in this scene at that one point. I thought he was going to like swing on a chandelier, you know, the next, with his sword, and the way he comes in to save his maiden. It sort of channels like sort of something from, like I say, the black and white Robin Hood TV show or something like that. Like a real swashbuckling adventure. Here comes Liu Kang. Fear not, you know, my lady. So Shiva turns up and gets crushed by the cage immediately. There's no fight with Shiva at all. Jade and Sindel set them up so Khan's portals would remain open, and cue lots of evil laughing. You've got to have your evil laugh. Turns out the markings they had are like portal passes, and Raiden has it as a tattoo, and Khan is his brother. Jade gets eaten by one of them CGI pieces of crap, you know, the ones that Jax was punching in the arse. So love how Khan is like, we all make a last stand at one of my temples, but it's just them standing on some brickwork is all it is. Have no idea where Liu was walking to and how and why they find him. As I say, unfortunately Brian Thompson is no Karitagawa. Khan strikes Raiden down as he is now mortal. Liu is now super pissed off. The realms are merging. As bad as Motoro looks in this, he is no worse than sort of what Dwayne Johnson looks in The Mummy Returns. He rips Jax's arms off, and the fight sort of slows down to like a snail pace at this point. Like, the finale is bad, right? It's so underwhelming. Katana overpowers Sindel. Liu turns into a giant CGI dragon, which looks absolutely awful. I mean, it looked bad then. It looks bad now. It's bad. It really is bad. Khan turns into this multi-headed serpent thing. I swear to God, it really does look like the effects are not even finished. Shinnok goes to take on Liu, and then 2 Elder Gods turn up, one of which has like probably the deepest voice I've ever heard, saying it will be decided in Mortal Kombat, which is too deep. Liu beats him, the realms are merged, Sindel is back to normal, and suddenly back at the temple at the Order of Light, Shinnok gets banished, Raiden becomes an elder god and just ends with our heroes walking off as they are now family or something like that. But I still, to this day, do not think this film is as bad as the reboot. I still have a lot of fond memories of Annihilation. Yes, it was bad at the time watching it. Yes, it's still bad now. But there's still a lot to be enjoyed here. Robin Shou is still the perfect Liu Kang. It's got a great soundtrack. It's got great fight sequences. As I say, I'm sure you know Mortal Kombat Annihilation is bad, but it's still hell of a fun movie. So thank you very much indeed for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review. Sorry I went through it quite quick there at the end. And I'll see you again soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.